Okay, now we're going to take the bobbins for your pickups, or if you're using just stock pickups, and make sure that they're going to fit in all the holes. Some bobbins are a little different in shape than others. You just want to make sure that they fit and make any adjustments that you might need. And then I'm going to take the bridge and make sure that it fits good, that I've got some room to center it, and that it does have a good range of motion. You even want to flip it around on the back and just make sure that you've got the room in there that when this moves, it's got enough room to move without hitting the body of the guitar. And now we're going to go ahead and route the back, the control pocket, and the area for the springs on the tremolo bridge. And I'm just going to take like a Forstner bit, and I'm going to mark a depth that I want on these. You'll see the measurements on the plans. And then I'm just going to drill down to that depth. And you can also use a router for this part too if you like. And then I'm just going to take a chisel and clean up these outer edges. Again, you can do this with the router like we did on the pickup cavities in the front. Okay, I'm just going to square this up. Then I'm just going to take a hammer and chisel and clean up that bottom surface a little and make it look a little bit more presentable. Now you can just smooth it down until you're happy with the appearance. And I'm also going to cut a little extra room here in the back. When that tremolo bridge is fully pushed down, the end of that stop could use a little extra room there in the back. And now this part doesn't actually go all the way through the body. I just take it down enough to give that tremolo block some room. And then we're going to move over to the control cavity. And now this goes a little deeper. You want to go as far down as you can just to give the controls enough wood that they are still going to be able to be fastened onto the top. So I'm marking my depth that I want there. Now I'll kind of go through the same process of just drilling some holes and smoothing it out. Again, this is a pretty deep pocket even for a router. But you can see how I use the tape as a depth gauge. And then again, I'm going to take a chisel and just clean up some of these other chunks of wood. And then I'm going to take a little router bit. You can see this is a little larger bit. It's kind of nice for cleaning up spots like this. And I've got it on a base where I can control the depth. And I'm going to use this to clean up the sides and the bottom. And now you can see with the pots, I actually took a little area where they're going to fit in a little deeper just so that I've got enough that when they come through the top, you can still get your nut over the threads and fasten it to the top. And we also have a little slot to cut for our pickup selector switch. And you have two screws there. I'm going to take a drill bit just a little larger than they are. You can see there. And then I'm going to drill out the holes that I've marked. And you can also see that I went ahead and drilled out an area around that switch. Usually those threads and those screws aren't that deep. You don't need a whole lot of thickness there to get that selector switch in place. And you can see how thin they are here. And now I've kind of put the template back on, and I've got a drill bit that's about the same thickness as the switch itself. And I'm just going to make some small holes here using that template as a guide. And once that's done, I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and just smooth that out and square up that edge. Then test fit your selector switch in there and make sure that you can move it to all the positions that you need it to be in. It can go all the way forward and all the way back. And also make sure that the holes for the screws line up as well. Okay. Now I've also routed out a little edge around here. This is where I'm going to put the cover plates in, but I've gone deep enough so that they'll be flush with the back. They're not going to sit up and be raised. Now with that done, we're going ahead and we're going to make the hole for the output jack. And it's going to have a little plate that it fits on. And I'm going to recess a little area here for that to, so it'll be flush with the body as well. And then we have to have a hole connecting it into the control cavity. So I'm going to mark where I want this at. I'm going to fit it, kind of get it to where you've got a nice spot where the curve of the plate fits the guitar body. I'm going to trace that out where I want it. Now I'm just going to center it. And I've got me a center line made there that I can now drill a hole to go into the control cavity. And I'm going to take the widest point here and the depth so that I can get that in there without there being any interference with the wiring. And this bit should be plenty wide for that. And make sure also that you haven't selected one that's too big for that opening and for that plate to cover. Then I'm going to sort of angle it in there and make a hole just the depth that I want. Make sure also that your like an amp cord plug will fit in there as well. You know, you want it deep enough that that will fit. Because the plug's going to extend a little farther than that. Okay, so we've got our hole cut. You'll see how we'll cover it with the jack plate. And then you need to drill another little hole that connects those two together, because you will have two small wires that go through. Okay, now it's easiest probably to access the output jack from the control cavity. You can see I'm just going to take a small drill bit and just drill a hole until I get into the output jack. That hole we just drilled. Shouldn't take much. Just make sure that you're through and you can get your wiring in there. You can see where it comes out there at the bottom. And then I'm going to just put this on here loosely, and then I'm going to fit this in the hole and make sure that I've got it to where it fits and all the wiring is going to be good. You don't want to trace this out and then figure out that you don't have it to where your jack will go into the hole. Once you know it fits, I'm going to do a little outline here. And you can see we're going to take that in just deep enough for that to be flush. I'm going to do this with just a small chisel. It's not a very deep cut at all. You can probably do this by hand. If the wood's a little too hard, you may have to use a chisel. Could be done with the router, but it is sort of a curved surface and it can be a little tricky to work on that edge. So I'm just going to do this with a little hammer and chisel. And we'll be a little careful around those corners where you have to sort of round it over. And I'm actually just going to take a little razor knife and smooth out these edges, especially the corners where you kind of have to round it over. It's really hard to get that sort of roundness with a flat chisel. You can, once you've kind of cut that little edge, you can just take a chisel and pop out the rest of it. And then test it, make sure that you've got it nice and flush with the side of the body. And make it, you take it a little deeper if you need to, even if you want it recessed any. And then we should be finished with the cavities.